Hey, we are so excited today that we're going to have Jonathan and Corinne Long from Hungary, and I wanted to tell you a little bit before I bring them on about United for Autism. So the book will be coming out in September sometime. We don't know the exact date yet, but the release will be sometime in September. And each story, there's 30 different stories from 30 different families dealing with autism from at least 14 different countries, and then from all over the United States also. And so each story will have like an attribute of autism or a characteristic or something that you, if you have a child with autism, will completely be able to relate to, because lots of our kids will do these things. And so hopefully you'll be able to relate to those. And then what's so neat about each of these stories is that each of these people in the stories have kind of come to peace with autism. It doesn't mean they didn't share the real hard parts they went through, because every day is still hard, but almost like a peace, and they have turned and use their knowledge to go and help other people somehow. And so each of them is linked to a charity, and that's really cool too. So I cannot wait for you to meet the Longs. And I'm going to, this is my first time doing this technology, so I'm going to try and do this right and invite them right now. Just bear with me as I figure this out. Still trying. Said swipe right. All right, in about 2 seconds. She's just going to accept the invite, and we will be in Hungary. Hey.
Hello.
I'm so glad it worked. Okay, hopefully everybody's seeing both of us. I may switch side and see if that helps.
Go this way.
Okay,
Oh.
all right. Nope, I think you're good. You were better before.
This way?
Nope, the other way.
This way.
You're good. Okay, perfect. All right, I can see you both. I'm very excited. So first I want to introduce everybody to Corinne and Jonathan, and you guys are living in Budapest, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so tell me just a little bit about your family.
Okay, well, I'm the husband. My name is Jonathan. Worked in different jobs in business for 10 years, and then we felt led to missions. And do you want to introduce yourself and the kids?
Yeah. Like Julie said, my name's Corinne, and we have been married for almost 19 years this summer. We got married when we were only 19, so we're just babies. But we have 3 children. Our oldest is 12, and our middle child who has autism is 9, and then we have a little girl who is turning 6 in a week.
Okay, well, great. So I'm sure that they will notice by now that you have an American accent. You were born and raised in America and then moved to Hungary. So kind of tell me how that transition happened and what made you go over there, and just kind of where that started out.
Sure. Well, I'm a missionary kid. My parents were missionaries. We spent time in Costa Rica and Colombia when I was young, and then we ended up bouncing around the United States. And then when I was a freshman in high school, my parents came to Hungary to build a bookstore. And so we spent my 13 and 14-year-old year here. And then I went home, and I had no intention of ever being involved in missions, no desire to ever be a missionary. And so I did my best to actively avoid it. And later on in life, as I was working one day, I just started having a series of really strong memories from that year that I spent here. And that became a passion. It was just a kind of an all-consuming passion for the country and for the culture. It wasn't anything that I asked for, and if I'm completely honest, at the time it wasn't anything that I wanted, but it was something that I knew that I couldn't get away from. And so my dad actually helped walk me through it, and then I went to my wife and kind of surprised her. I'll let you share on that.
I grew up in the Midwest. I spent the majority of my life in the Indianapolis area. And so being married to a missionary kid, it was kind of a different relationship, because he was used to moving a lot and I was used to staying put. And so every few years he would suggest we like go on some grand adventure. Let's move here. Let's have you ever thought about the coast? You know, what about Florida? What about California? And I was always like, no, we're rooted. We have a great home. We're established here in Indianapolis, and that's where I was perfectly fine staying there. So when he first suggested that we move overseas to Hungary, I thought he was crazy. I just really thought it was just another whim. And so over weeks and months, he just persisted, and I resisted. So it was quite a while. I basically told him, like, I don't want to talk about Hungary anymore. I don't think we're supposed to go to Hungary. This is just crazy. It's nonsense. And just one day we happened to be attending our local church, and there was a missionary there speaking, and I just felt like God spoke to me and said that this was what we were supposed to do. And so I told Jonathan what I had experienced in that church service, and that was the start of our journey towards Hungary. So we ended up here.
You had no kids, or you?
We had, our oldest was, I guess 2 at the time. And so I was pregnant with Grant when we were beginning our journey to raise funds to come overseas. And when we first moved to Hungary, Carter was 3.5, our oldest was 3.5, and Grant was 6 months old. So. Okay.
And so Grant, the baby, with that later, you know, you would know how to, you had no idea what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
So once you got over there, kind of tell me the culture differences, and kind of, I would love to know kind of how you live now, what might be different than from what I'm experiencing in the States, or what other people are experiencing in other countries.
Well, I would say the biggest difference for me coming from the Midwest is that Budapest is a very big, active city. And so there is, you know, the hustle and bustle that you think about from a big city like New York or Chicago. There's lots of people, lots of movement, and a lot of activity. We take public transportation everywhere. There's a lot of walking. It's just, it's always alive. And so that was a big adjustment coming from the Midwest. Grew up in the suburbs, drove a car everywhere. That's probably a big difference.
It's also very quiet. You get on public transportation, and you don't hear people yelling. You don't hear people drawing a lot of attention to themselves. And so we're used to being, actually, you don't realize how loud of a culture we are as Americans until you're surrounded by people who aren't making any noise at all. And so you learn that there are certain cultural expectations about noise level. There are cultural expectations about how you dress when you're outside, and people feel very comfortable to let you know that your child doesn't have enough layers on, or that your child's lacking a hat. They'll tell you on the crosswalk while you're crossing the street. So you figure out that there are set expectations for how you're supposed to do things, and you just have to learn those and learn how to navigate those too.
Right. So how does, you mentioned public transportation, how does that work with a child with autism?
It was really challenging when he was younger. Just kind of managing 2 small children on public transportation can be a little bit challenging when you're by yourself, because there's often stairs, or you know, getting in and out of doors as they're opening and closing quickly. Holding on to 2 kids can be difficult. So Grant was almost always in a stroller if I had to take him out. And he's just noisy. He would cry, he would fuss, he didn't like to be strapped in. And that was really difficult for me when there was so much quiet around us, and I felt like our kids were the ones that were making the most noise, and feeling like they were drawing attention to us. So that was really hard. Now that he's older, he really loves to go out in the city, and he loves to go on the metro and that sort of thing. So it's not as big of a deal. He can be quieter, and he can kind of follow those expectations that we have for him.
So do you guys feel like you have a lot of space, like in your home, and a home that is in the city where there's not tons of space, or are you a little?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We're in an apartment building, but it only has 2 apartments in it. And so we actually have members from our team live in the other apartment, so we have a really great situation because we know our neighbors really well. And so that helps. We also have a yard where we're at. We're kind of in a more residential area of the town. So it gives us it's a very homey feeling for us, even though we're in the city and we can access the downtown very quickly. We kind of feel a little bit away from all of that commotion at the same time.
Well, Jonathan, one of the reasons, so the story in the book is, and I can't wait for you to read what Corinne has shared with us. It's just so relatable, and so we'll save that for the book. But one of the things that really struck me and I couldn't stop thinking about is she mentioned that Jonathan, her husband, was her glue the whole time. And I can't imagine being in a different country than you were used to or born or knew the customs of, and then having a child with autism. And so I thought we've got to meet this man who is so amazing, because the divorce rate's huge. It's like 80%, I think, with children with disabilities. And so anyway, 19 years, getting married at 19, it's just so impressive that you're still together and that you seem to like each other, you know? So Jonathan,
we've lost our sound. Give us.
Oh, you did?
There we go.
Is it better?
Okay,
I can hear you now.
Go ahead.
You can hear me again?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just tell me, Jonathan, what is some pressure that you have felt through this, learning your middle son has autism, just that might be a little bit different than what the mom feels?
Sure. First off, I can say that one of the reasons I think that this has worked well for us is because, first, Corinne and I make a really good pair. We're really balanced from a strengths and skills standpoint. We really complement each other. And one of the reasons we got married at 19 was I felt really quickly that I had found someone that was a really good match for me. And so in everything that we've done, whether it be our service overseas or whether it be our parenting or whatever, we've always done it really in a partnership. And so I've never really felt like it's been too much her and not enough me, or too much me and not enough her. We've actually really tried to have a real balance, real partnership in it. I do think that I feel things a little bit different at times than she does. For me, I think one of the challenges that I've faced has been dealing with the lack of answers. Dealing with the questions and the unknowns regarding the future. What is Grant going to be like as an adult? How free will he be? How will he function? What are the things he's going to be able to do, not be able to do? And so I think even as a father now, I'm thinking down the road, going, is he going to be able to live independently? Is he going to live with us? In missions, it's probably not a big secret. It's not a spoiler, but you don't make a lot of money working in nonprofit work.
Right.
And
right.
so sometimes I think, because I came from working and for different companies, sometimes I think, am I doing the right thing working for a nonprofit and not making more money so that down the road, if finances change, if realities change, we're prepared for those things. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's where faith comes in. You just have to believe that you're doing the right thing and that things work out when you get there. But, and so for me, I think a lot about, are we doing the right thing for Grant? Is being in this culture the right thing? Is sending him to the school that he's here the right thing? Is having the certain life and even the income that we have now the right thing, so that down the road he'll have what he needs? And so I feel a strong provider mentality, and for me, that I want to make sure that he's provided for. And so I think that's something for me personally that's been heavy on my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can see that. Yeah. I bet it's on everyone's minds too. So tell me the biggest sacrifice you feel that you've made as a father of a child with autism.
It's a hard question. I don't know. I mean, obviously there probably are sacrifices, but I don't know that I've ever looked at them that way. I think one of the things that when you move overseas, one of the things that I found myself mourning was the lack of, or the realization that my kids aren't going to have some of the same experiences that I had. So my son will not play certain sports. My son will not have certain opportunities that I had, and you realize that. I think with Grant too, now dealing with a child that has autism, it's the realization that things didn't turn out the way struggles. He's going to have certain challenges. There's going to be realities in his life that, some are just different, but he's not going to have some of those opportunities that I had. And just kind of feeling that uncertainty a little bit for him, and just kind of letting go of how you thought things were going to be, and just dealing with the reality of where you're at and doing the best you can.
Right. No, that makes complete sense. So I know that all of us are trying to connect with our children with autism, and some of the children are harder than others. But tell me the first time you remember connecting with Grant, just this real connection with him.
Well, when our kids were born, Corinne and I shared a lot of the getting up in the middle of the night and feeding them when they were screaming, and the diaper changes and whatnot. And so as a baby, I've been fortunate with all three of our kids to get a good amount of quality time with them, even at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I would say that as a baby, I spent a lot of time with the kids, and I really enjoyed that. As far as Grant, as he was transitioning to understanding sort of what was going on, one of the things Corinne does really well, she's very organized, and she's a planner, and she educates herself. And so as soon as we realized what was going on, or that there were issues there, Corinne began educating herself. And I tried to stay as up to speed as I could. Corinne tried to keep me as up to speed as she could. We spent a lot of time having conversations where she was relating what she read on this website or read in this book. But there was a time when I got to take Grant to Riley Hospital for Children in Indianapolis. And for whatever reason, I can't remember why, but Corinne couldn't come. And it was just Grant and I. And we went to the hospital, and we spent the entire day there. We went through the process of having conversations with the various staff members and the various doctors, and I got to sit and observe the tests. And the doctors were great. The people doing the tests and the evaluations were telling me sort of what was going on. And I felt like it was the first time that without Corinne, I was understanding really what the issue was, and that I was getting a better handle on that, so that I could kind of evaluate what I was doing and how I was relating to him. And I can honestly say that spending that day in the hospital, just he and I together, was kind of a turning point for me, connecting to him and helping him and understanding him better.
Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. It sounds very, very much like you are a team, like you're both doing so much for his care and to understand what he's going through and how you can help. So how do you think that Grant has made you a better dad?
Well, the challenges that we face, they reveal character. And honestly, in my life, it's the challenges that I face that reveal character. They refine me, And I would say that he has taught me patience. He has taught me love. He loves with such a fierce passion. There's so many stories we could tell, and I know we're limited on time, but he feels empathy in ways that I would never feel for anybody naturally. And so he's taught me how to love. He genuinely cares about his brother and his sister, and he's sometimes Carter will get in trouble, and Grant will be advocating for Carter, trying to get him out of trouble. And so the way that he loves, the way that he is just genuinely passionate about things. And so it's been through some of the challenges and the unexpected things that I've learned to be more flexible. I've learned to let go. I can't have a plan for everything. I can't know how everything's going to turn out. And so in that regard, he's really actually helped me build my faith, because when you come overseas as a missionary and you have a child with autism, and you have to feel like you're doing the right thing, like you really feel like you're doing the right thing, it's been a real faith builder. And so I would just say that he's helped to refine me.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel the exact same way with my daughter. I just feel like she has changed who I am. I'm completely a different person. I'm more compassionate and understanding, and I've been forced to think about things I never otherwise thought about or felt that other people might be feeling, you know. And so it's all the same story. It's us compassion for others. So with that, tell me a little bit. I think the neatest thing about the book is just that each person, and you guys included, pour yourselves into some type of charity work and giving to others. And so tell me a little bit about your charity and One Mission Hungary and what you do with it.
Okay. I have a passion for seeing people restored. Everybody in life comes across things that are unfortunate and that create damage in their lives. And so I have a passion, you know, we all have our baggage. And so I have a passion for seeing restoration. I have a passion for people having hope for the future and healing for the past. And as a Christian, I believe that is built around a relationship with Jesus. And so as God gave me that passion for Hungary, there was no way that I couldn't come. And so as field director, one of the things that I've been able to do is sort of direct the course, to decide where we're going as a field and what we're going to do. And so our passion is coming alongside churches and the Christian community, because we believe that there are problems in the community. We believe that there are challenges in the community, that there are people hurting in the community. And we believe that as Christians, we are commanded to do something about it. And so what we want to do is we want to inspire and equip believers, people who are in the churches, first and foremost, to truly following Jesus. And as a byproduct of that, looking outside of the church and evaluating how can we love people better? How can we serve people better? And so we want to inspire people and equip people in the church for service. And then on the other side of that, one of the real needs here is helping them to see the opportunities and preparing them for those opportunities, connecting the sacred and the secular in the community so that they can go out and be involved directly in meeting the needs and making an impact within their community. And so our goal is to see the church community grow and be more impactful with the challenges that you see every day around the various churches here in Budapest and across the country. And so we work with a variety of partners to envision and create ministries that are directed at needs that we can connect those churches to. And then we also work within those churches to help people have a vision for it and a passion for it, so that we have volunteers to connect with the community.
So Corinne mentioned some work you do with the Middle Eastern refugees. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. That was a time limited thing. It was a period of time for the field, so we're not doing that currently. Basically, it's a case of ministry coming to you. One day I was sitting on a bus and I look out the window and I see several Middle Eastern families sitting at the train station. And I said to here we're back. I said to my buddy who happened to be with me, why are these people sitting in front of the train station? And he said, oh, they're Syrians. I said, well, what are they doing in Budapest? And he said, they're walking basically to Northern Europe. And so as time went on, the crowd grew. And as the crowd grew, we began to see media reports about the situation there. And we just felt like this is a case where we've got to do something. And so we sent a couple of our team members down to scout around and see who was organizing what and what the needs were. And eventually we got to participate in a variety of ways, from working in camps directly with the refugees, to providing food, to providing logistics. We have a large van, and so we were running different items that were necessary to the camps, and we did that in Hungary and Croatia. And then they changed basically the structure of how the process was going, and almost overnight we were done.
Wow. Starts as quick as it finishes, huh?
Yes.
It was amazing how fast it happened, and then literally it just ended almost overnight.
Well, I can see how having a child with autism, though, would train you for that, because it's like we, as parents of kids with autism, it's like we have to pick up on whatever need is right there and help. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, they've moved on and now we're moving on. So, I mean, how else do you think that having Grant has kind of prepared you for your work or makes you better at your work than you might have been?
I think it sort of prepares you for the unexpected.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think so too.
you don't always, sometimes he's very predictable and sometimes he's not. And so you get used to sort of rolling with things and just realizing, well, there's nothing we can do about this at the moment. And so he kind of breaks you from perfectionism.
Yeah.
And so in ministry, you just learn how to roll with the punches. Sometimes you spend all week planning an event or planning something and then nothing goes the way you expected. And it happens the same way. Sometimes you spend, all week thinking about the dinner that you're going to go to, and then halfway through, we kind of look at each other across the table and go, this was not what we expected. So you just learn how to.
Yeah. Being just put on your face and like humbled by our kids, because it's like anything you felt like you were going to be as a person, you just know, okay, you know what was I thinking? I'm rolling punches, and I can't, I love it that we don't think so highly of ourselves because we've been taught by our kids to be humbled, So,
Right.
well, I do this thing where we do quick questions, and I'm going to do this on each of the interviews. So just the first thing that comes to your mind, don't overthink it. I'm just going to ask like 10 or 12 questions and just come up with an answer, and it can be really quick. Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, books or movies?
Movies.
Books.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Favorite sport?
American football.
Yeah. American
Yeah.
football.
Dream vacation?
Oh, someplace quiet.
Normandy, France.
Okay. Would you rather endure an hour of stimming or an hour of a meltdown from your child with autism?
An hour. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Pretty bad meltdowns, huh?
Yeah.
What's the last thing you spent a lot of money on?
Wow, we don't spend a lot of money on much.
Hmm.
I bought a classic car for $300.
That counts. That's a lot of money.
Little Russian car, But
Yeah. Outside your family, who do you admire most?
You know what? I really admire the therapists and teachers that work with the special needs community at our kids' school. Yeah.
Okay.
wow, can I say my parents? Does that count as family?
It totally counts as family, but we'll let it pass.
My mom and dad.
Okay. Favorite ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip.
Stracciatella.
Oh. Favorite family tradition?
Ooh, when we have dinner together as a family, we always go around the table and each of us share our high and our low from the day. And I really
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
This is not the whole family tradition, but Carter and I get up every morning, have devotions together at 7 o'clock. And the way that he insists upon it really makes me proud. So I would say that.
Yeah, that's a great tradition. So if you could pick your dream dinner, just 3 people you'd invite. You can leave your family out again because, we know you all want them there.
Some of them might see this, so you have to be careful.
Oh, man. It's hard to narrow it down. There's just a lot of people at home that we don't get to spend time with, that we don't see. And so just some of those close friends, if we could time warp them here and have dinner.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm not going to say which 3, but I love my team. I love the people that work on my team. And so I get to spend a lot of time with them anyway, but I absolutely love spending time with the team members I've got. So it'd definitely be 3 of those team members, but if I said which ones, I might lose some. So.
All right. Well, we'll leave them guessing on that, right?
Sure.
So one thing you make sure to do for yourself.
Well, one thing that we've started doing just in the last year and a half is taking little weekend trips alone. without anyone else. Jonathan,
Not
yeah.
together, just
No,
literally
Jonathan
alone.
will go, and then I will go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's been refreshing and life-changing. So
Yeah, that's a great, amazing
We
thing to do.
we realized it was hard to take vacations
or even
together,
to get away
just
together.
to get away.
Yeah, without the
So
kids.
basically, we came up with this idea that I would keep the kids and she could go away by herself, and then we'd flip it around at a later time.
That's incredible. That's incredible. That's a great suggestion. All right, last one.
Okay, go
What
ahead.
therapy makes the most difference?
I think at the beginning, speech therapy was made a huge impact in Grant's life, because he wasn't talking, and within months,
Very quickly,
he was speaking sentences, and it was just an incredible, speedy change in his life. So
yeah, and you could see that because he really wanted to talk, and you could see the frustration in him, his action, and his body language. He was so frustrated that he was struggling to communicate.
It gave him his voice,
and it changed his behavior probably most dramatically, being able to communicate better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just want to thank you both again for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know it's the evening where you're at, so I'm sure I can't believe your house is so quiet. It's very impressive.
They're asleep.
They're all asleep.
What?
They're all asleep.
Oh, they're all that's like, I don't even say it. Sleep around. I go to bed before half my kids around this house now, so as they're older. But I just can't wait for everyone to read your story that you shared with us about Grant, because it's just so relatable. And then also you get into some of Grant's early diagnosis and how that all went, and then kind of we get to hear how he's doing now. So anyway, we'll save that all for the book. So I totally appreciate having you guys, and maybe after the book release, we can wait a couple months and do this again, where we could do like a what's going on now kind of thing with Grant. Yeah. So I would love to do that. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see you again soon.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.